I'm Steve Carr, and you're...
Stephen Ulrich.
Yeah, kindly named Steve, makes it
Yeah.
easier for me to remember. But I've enjoyed his music since the late 90s when I became aware of it, and you were kind enough to use a Telstar for your new album.
Yeah, so I got the Telstar in the mail a few weeks before the album, and I broke it in, and it's just this, I love the description of it being creamy, because that's
right.
what I use it for. It's just like this super warm sound, but it's also gnarly, and you know, and it's got a real tooth to it too, so yeah.
It can. I'm curious, a lot of your sound is real kind of atmospheric and evocative with tremolo and echo.
Right.
What type of settings did you use for the record on the amp?
I don't know if I can answer. I don't know if that should be
or
yeah.
ballpark.
It's a really. I went for like a fat. The thing I love about the amp is it's clean, but it's not thin. It's really fat and warm, and that's the. I don't remember the exact setup, but yeah, the tone of the amp for me is, and it's sort of my sound too, is even though it's clean, it's not overly bright. It's super warm and creamy. I love that description, creamy. Who came up with that?
It might have been Warren.
Your marketing
or Steve.
guy.
It could somebody here, the team. We got to thank them. But you know, it has a lot of '50s heritage to this circuit, which is it sounds very mid-range forward, which is that thickness. But in reality, we're used to a real scooped guitar sound, and it's essentially flat, not totally flat, but flatter than what we're used to. So it seems like it's mid-range forward and very thick.
Sure.
Which is a great sound.
Yeah. I mean, it's somehow even when it's clean, it's still got a sort of like a hairiness to it. It's a little bit of tooth to the sound.
Yeah. Well, you know, you were telling us about your pedal board and that you've got an original Klon pedal.
Yeah.
And I know people are excited about the history of these things.
So I don't play with a lot of effects. I tend to play with, all I have is I have a delay pedal and I have a Klon. That's essentially what I have. I mean, I have two delay pedals. I have a volume pedal, but you know, the effects are basically two delays. One's slap back, one's long on the Klon. I got the Klon. They're made by Bill Finnegan or Finneran.
That sounds right.
The maker called me. He had heard he'd heard the first Big Lazy record and said, "Hey, I love your band. I make this pedal."
And what year is that? Let me.
1890.
Wow, I heard of you before me. It's amazing. I was early.
1994.
Okay.
95.
Wow.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, look at it. It's got like beer all over it, right?
That's right. Good patina.
So he overnighted it to me, and I got it in the mail. And first of all, it was $250. Sold for $250. And I was like, really, a pedal?
Back then, especially, yeah.
But I bought it. He said it's really good because it's very transparent, and it doesn't. I just like the sound of a pure amp, like with nothing.
Yeah, you were saying before that time you pretty much just went straight in.
I mean, that's what I love about this amp is just like right into the amp, no garbage in, right? So the Klon, it's very transparent. It brings some overdrive, but I describe it as it just sounds like me with a couple drinks in me.
Well there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't have it's not a third party to the chain. Yeah.
That's neat. Vintage Klon. I was curious too. You know, we're just chatting here, and it's
Yeah.
really nice of you to stop on your tour. But this guitar is kind of amazing. I don't want to drop it, but it's
been dropped.
Can you maybe
So-
tell about this? Because it's really
Yeah,
it's surprisingly light. I don't know. Maybe
Really?
seven
I try
and
holding
and
it
a
for
half
4
pounds.
sets a night. Yeah.
Let me give you my Les Paul for a while. And
So yeah, the guitar has this kind of interesting pedigree. It's a 55
I don't
Gretsch.
know if you can-
And
This
it's
looks
got a
like
gold
it's-
back. Like,
Yeah, look at that.
where did that come from? I don't know. I think it might have been done in someone's garage, right? But I got this guitar. There's a Cuban. I have a Cuban friend, and he was living on a boat in the East River.
Wow.
This is not like the movie.
It fell off the back of a boat.
So he was living in the boat in the river, and we swam at the same pool. And he showed up at the pool one day, and he said, he saw the band. He said, "Hey, I have this guitar in my boat, and it's got a whammy bar on it."
Wow.
And when he brought it to me, it was all like oxidized, like when stuff's on a boat, it gets all green.
Yeah.
And he opened the case up, and he insisted that I not pay him anything.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
You know, what can you say?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I could tell that story. Yeah.
Let's do it again
Yeah.
right
You
now.
want to trade?
Well,
I could also
turn the
take- yeah,
cameras
if you
off. But so you've got a new record, Dear Trouble.
So we have a new record, Dear Trouble, and the record is, the sound of this band is sort of like film noir. We're like a rock and roll band, but there's elements of jazz and there's elements. I write film music, so there's this sort of like atmospheric film tone to the album. And the album is, we brought in a bunch of ringers for the album.
That's always good.
Mark Rebo plays on it. I got to play with Mark, who's like a force of nature.
Wow, I've never met him.
Yeah, he's a beautiful person, and is playing. Every single thing he plays is a take.
Really?
Like even if it's just crazy, it's
Okay.
just got this perfect arc of melody. And so we used him, and he also is a very lyrical and kind of beautiful player, and we used him in that way. Yeah. Cool. So I'm playing this guitar's called a Not For Everyone, and it was designed by Mehmet Doe at Action Figure Studios.